Guys, I can't believe we're doing this. Welcome to the first official episode of Me and You. I'm getting comfy in this bitch because I got a story time for y'all, and it is all about releasing control, surrendering to your process, and being 100% okay with not knowing what the fuck is going on and what the fuck is happening next. Um, Earlier today, I was reflecting on a couple opportunities that had come my way, and I did not get them. And it completely shattered my world. And I think it shattered my world not so much because I didn't get it. Like, yes, I was, hurt that I didn't get the opportunity. But I think I was so hurt because I had pre planned everything to a T. Like the night before, I knew how I was going to do my makeup. I pre prepped my hair. I had my outfit planned out. I knew what time I was going to leave. I knew what music I was going to get ready to. And in my head, because I had my preparation so thoroughly planned out, there was no way that I wasn't going to get these opportunities because I was so prepared. Like I had completely taken control of the situation. So I thought. Um, and that kind of just made me think about my healing journey and how I go about my day to day life. When I hear healing journey, it has a very negative connotation for me, and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I think of crying and being sad and depressed. I think of being alone. I think of just honestly darkness and negativity. And call me a pessimist if you want. I do have some pessimistic views, but obviously if you're healing, something had to break you in order for you to have to heal from it, or something went wrong, something hurt you, I guess we'll say. um, you have to reflect on that. You have to go through that. You have to grow through that, and that requires a wave of emotions. I don't like experiencing those emotions. I've been through a lot of dark shit in my life, and I will definitely touch on that later on down the road. But when I was thrown into this healing journey, season of isolation, whatever we want to call it right now, I fought it. Like the first month or so, I think I was in denial. I was like, no, no. I mean, I'll heal, but I was putting contingencies on everything. I was like, if I'm going to go through this journey, it's got to be like this. It's got to look like this. It's going to be structured like this. This is how I'm going to do it. Because I was so petrified of experiencing certain emotions that I have already been through in previous healing journeys, whether it be from a breakup or a job opportunity or childhood trauma or whatever happened in my world that led me to being in just a season of self, we'll call it. And being in control and being in a healing journey don't really go hand in hand. You have to surrender. You have to be okay with the highs and the lows and things being uncovered about yourself that maybe you didn't want to face. We're just going to rip the band-aid off and be super transparent. In episode 1, I am figuring out what my spirituality looks like, I guess we'll just call it. I am discovering myself. I'm discovering what it looks like to have a connection with your higher self, deepening and strengthening my relationship with God, what that looks like in my day to day. And if you are going to have a relationship with your higher self and with God, you kind of got to take the back seat on a lot of shit in your life. And that is not something that I do very easily. I'm very type A. I definitely have control issues. And it's because I want to protect myself. It has been my coping mechanism, my defense mechanism. If I have my eye and my hand on any and everything that comes into my world, I'm not going to get hurt because I'm ahead of it. I'm one step ahead of it. And I'm very much so learning the hard way. One, where it shows up in my day-to-day life, and two, that it's just not going to work out. You're not really going to accomplish much healing if that's the way you want to go about it. So after reflecting on that opportunity, I was actually reminded of a hike that I went on with my friend Dev, and how that entire experience actually represents how I want to go about my day-to-day life, but specifically my healing journey. All right, so to give you guys the condensed Spark Note version, about a month ago, me and my really good friend Dev decided that we were gonna go on this hike to this waterfall that we had seen on TikTok. We pull up, we ain't do no research, we ain't look at no map, we didn't do nothing but start walking one foot in front of the other. If it wasn't for this lady who saw us confused and overheard our conversation, we would have had no idea that we were on the wrong path to get to this waterfall. Baby, when I tell you we got to the right path and it was the most unconventional shit we have ever seen in our entire lives, like it was literally water, rocks, logs, and dirt. We looked at each other like, now how the hell are we supposed to do this? But we figured it out. We figured it out and we kept it pushing because all we knew is that we wanted to see this waterfall. I have never laughed, cried tears of joy, screamed, had so much fun in my entire life. We made the best out of that situation. Mind you, it took us 2.5 hours to get to this hike. Neither of us were prepared for it to take that. And honestly, we didn't even really have any idea about how long it was going to take because again, we did no research. We just thought we were going to walk and somehow bump into this majestic waterfall and it was going to be the best experience of our lives. So whatever, we risk our lives for 2.5 hours straight. We're falling in water, we're slipping, we're sliding, whatever. We get to the waterfall. It is absolutely stunning. Like it was so worth the 2.5 hours. We had an amazing time. We start to make our way back. Now, I don't even know what to say because on the way back, it was a whole other hike than what we did in the first place. And in my mind, I'm thinking, this is about to be a breeze because at least we know like what rocks to step on and what logs to scale this time around is not going to be as difficult as the first time. Wrong. I'm not going to say it was harder. It was actually a lot easier, but it looked so different. We ended up taking a whole different trail back, which again, I don't know. I'm really learning that we should look things up before we do it now that I'm saying this story out loud because somehow the shit split and we ended up going down a different path, but it was so much easier. It actually only ended up taking us an hour rather than the 2.5 hours to get back to the car. I don't know how that happened. I got home from that hike and my heart was filled with so much joy. Like I was in the best mood ever. And the more I kept thinking about it and the more I kept reflecting on it, the more my mind was blown. Like so much so that I journaled about it and I was like, damn, like this is how I want to live my day-to-day life. This is how I should be going about my healing journey. So I want to share a few things that I learned with you guys. The first being, obviously, your journey can change at any given time. You can start down one path and something flips and you need to start going down a new path. You maybe need to develop a different mindset. You maybe need to develop different traits. But if you're not willing to make those adjustments in the beginning, you're going to have a whole hell of a lot harder time getting to that end goal and that destination. Release control, release the ideas, release the thought processes that you have developed from the beginning, and just be willing to take the back seat from jump. Be open for the ride. The second one was take your time learning your lessons or doing shadow work. So I thought about that because as we were crossing like the ponds and having to step on rocks and scale logs, I fell in, I don't know how many times, okay? I did not plan on getting wet or swimming with the fishies that day, but baby, I learned my shit the hard way. I did that because I was in a rush to get across the pond. Like I was uncomfortable, I was uneasy, I had anxiety, I didn't know what was what, and I was like, maybe if I just run, I'll get in. No, wrong. Dev, my friend who I was with, every time that he would cross, he would like stick his foot out and he would test the rocks that were in front of him to see which ones were sturdy enough to hold our body weight to get us across. Every time he did that, he didn't fall in. He maybe fell in about one time. Me, we're not going to talk about that. That's not the point. The moral of it is that he was willing to take his time. He didn't care how long it took him to get across. He was like, let me do this and actually learn and understand which one's the right one for me to step on versus just doing whatever so I can get across the fastest. When I think about that, I know that I don't like being uncomfortable sitting in certain emotions. I don't like when I'm having a bad day. I don't like when I'm doing shadow work or journaling or thinking about certain traits of myself that I don't really like. So I try to speed through that process as fast as I can. I try to speed through the whole healing process as fast as I can. I'm like, bitch, you got a week. You got a week to tighten up. You got a week to jump into the highest version of yourself, and that's just unrealistic. When you try to speed past a process, you're going to fall, you're going to get hurt. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen either way, but you can minimize the amount of times that you fall and bust your ass because you're willing to actually take your time. Don't matter how long it takes. I just want to get there. That brings me into my next point that I journaled, and that's about releasing your timeline. And I wrote to myself, stop obsessing over how long it'll take to feel better and live in your highest timeline. And in that moment, I just meant being connected to my higher self, being connected to a version of me that I have been longing for, someone who loves myself, someone who trusts myself, someone who enjoys being in my own company and believing in myself. Again, because I don't necessarily like a healing process, I keep telling myself, okay, but you got a week, you got a month. I keep putting contingencies and timelines on what shit's gonna look like, and I'm missing the whole point by doing that. That hike took us 2.5 hours one way. 2.5 hours to get to that hike. We saw so many people crossing our paths, and every time we would do a check-in with someone and ask like, oh, how much farther? They'd be like, you're almost there. First of all, they were lying, but it made it almost worse for us every time we asked, and we're trying to do like little check-ins because we weren't almost there. In fact, it got harder, and it made us feel like we were never going to get there because we have someone in our ear saying you're almost there, when really we should have just been present. You'll get there when you get there. Because there's no way you're telling me I'm almost there and I got 2.5 hours left in front of me. The math ain't mathin' on that one. Second we stopped asking, the faster the hike went. We looked up and we're like, oh, okay, bitch, we actually here, period. Then we enjoyed the moment. Once we got to the waterfall, I don't think I cared about how long it took. I wasn't thinking about the 2 hours. I wasn't thinking about falling in. I wasn't thinking about the rocks. I wasn't thinking about the logs. I was just in awe of the moment. When you remain present in each moment of your journey, you allow yourself the space to find beauty and joy in every moment rather than obsessing over what you may or may not endure. The more you focus on what's to come and what's in front of you, you're gonna miss the mark. You're going to miss the experience and the beauty that the lesson has to hold. Let everything happen gracefully, and just remember that everything plays a part in your journey. I definitely understand anxiety, fear of the unknown, fear of uncertainty. I understand all of that. I know how hard it is to just let go of that and take the back seat on a situation because you don't know what's going to happen to you. I understand. I empathize with that. I know that that can cause so much fear that it can be debilitating. You're not willing to let go. It's almost easier and more comfortable to hold on to a situation that you know isn't good for you or you know that isn't working because you're not willing to step into something that you have no idea how it's going to turn out. I want to remind you that by doing that, you end up creating more stress and more anxiety in your life than what the situation may actually hold. You're creating more stress in a situation that may not actually be there if you just allow life to unfold naturally. I know it's not easy to do, but each day start to chip away at that fear, start to chip away at that anxiety. Allow yourself to remain present in the moment. Affirm yourself, reassure yourself that whatever you're going to go through, you're going to make it through to the other side, just like you've done in every other situation in life. Meet your fears with love and grace. Meet yourself with love and grace. And with time, you will be able to let go. You will be able to comfortably take the back seat. I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect. I know it's not easy, but I do know that I am for damn sure in a much better place than I was when I was holding on with all my might, trying to control the situation. I'm not there anymore. I'm not experiencing that. I'm allowing myself to just be and flow. I accept the good days the same way I accept the bad days. So I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for listening. Mwah.